Today's redstone video is going to be a bit of an interesting one because we're going to be taking a look at a few hidden armories that you can create with the new crawling mechanics that are introduced into Minecraft 1.14. And I think to demonstrate these things we could do with some James Bond style music, which I sincerely hope doesn't get flagged because I've received enough copyright claims lately. So we're going to start things off really simply with the bush armory. So as you can see right here, we have got our rather nice potted bush in our room. You'll see these popping up around people's bases because they're a really easy way to decorate. And if we activate this thing, you'll see that our pot kind of explodes outwards, dropping us down into the ground so we can actually slide underneath the bush and make our way into this hidden armory that has everything that we could possibly need. We've got barrels that you could fill up with items, we've got furnaces, ender chests, anvils, all that sort of thing. And then once you're done, you can just slide out from underneath the bush, reactivate it to switch everything off, and it returns to looking like a completely normal and unsuspecting piece of decoration. Now, if we take a look around the back of this thing, you'll be happy to know that that yellow block right there, that is the only block in this redstone contraption. All of this iron stuff, that's just the activation circuitry with the redstone torch key and everything like that. But the actual redstone contraption itself, the thing that drops you underneath the bush, is this yellow block and then these two pistons right here. And there's a piece of redstone dust thrown in for good measure. With all the decoration removed, you should be able to see how this functions a little bit better. So all we have is a piece of redstone dust which is powering all of these trapdoors right here to keep them closed and next to the wood. And then we just have this block which is powering this piston as well. When we flick the lever, you can see that the block retracts, and obviously all of our trapdoors are then unpowered, so they will pop up, pushing us downwards so that we can crawl underneath, and then when we power it again, everything returns back to normal. Super elegant little solution. Time to move on to the next one, and it's a tiny bit more complicated. But it's well worth it because I think this might be one of the most hilarious redstone contraptions I've made in a little while. As you can see, we've got a composter in the room, and all we have to do is hop inside the composter and place in something that would cause it to change its level. For example, a potato or a carrot, and the system will detect this, it will close the trapdoor on top of us, pushing us down into the composter, and then it will pull the composter through the wall, will pop up on the other side, able to access all of the things that we need inside our armory. It's a hilarious kind of little box up and shift system, and then on the other side, once we want to get out, we just hit a button and we'll be pushed back out into our room as if nothing ever happened. But as I say, it's not quite as simple as the first one. Yep. I mean, it's not the biggest redstone contraption on the planet. For those of you who have built lots of redstone contraptions, this is actually quite small, but in the world of, for those of you who are new to it, this might look a little bit daunting. I'm going to try my best to explain it though, because there is actually quite a lot going on. Step 1 is that this observer will detect the change in level of this composter right here and send an output through into this circuitry, which will begin to close up the trapdoor and also begin the retraction of the double piston extender. But before all of that happens, we need to make sure that this observer doesn't give another output when this composter moves out the way. So we need to make sure that we move this block out the way so that it can't get the signal across, because otherwise it's going to start up a redstone clock, and that isn't exactly ideal. So if we activate that, you can see that all of that happens, and it all happens quite quickly, so it's a little bit difficult to follow, but that is the entrance sorted. Thankfully, the exit is a lot simpler. When the player hits the button, it causes this piston to push down, forcing our player to crawl inside the composter, and then the double piston extender extends across, pushing our player back out. The composter moving over the top of the observer will cause this piston to toggle, resetting the entire system, making it ready to use once again. But as per usual, all happens very quickly. So to the 11 people watching who understood what I just said, congratulations. Let's move on to the next design. And this one is a little bit more straightforward. I like to think of it as a remix of something from the early days of Minecraft. I'm sure all of us have seen the painting hidden entrances. Well, now in Minecraft 1.14, we can do those with the 1x1 paintings. So what I've done is I've set up an item filter on the inside of the painting. We throw in a specific item that will activate the system, causing two pistons to extend, forcing us to go into crawl mode, and then we can just crawl through that 1x1 painting and access all of the things that we need. And then once we're done with that, we just kind of shimmy on out of the painting and walk away as if we weren't even there. How difficult is it to build, I hear you say? Well, if we pop around the back, you can see it's not exactly the smallest redstone system in the world, and that's just due to the nature of the circuitry. I mean, we've got a piston on the top and the bottom. It was always going to be bulky, but in terms of complexity, it's easy as pie. I mean, it really is incredibly simple. There's 2 redstone circuits. The blue one is our item filter, so this is the one that's detecting the item that gets thrown in through the painting. Now, I've used light blue wool for this one, but you can use absolutely any stackable item, and I would highly suggest renaming those items to actually make it a little bit more secure. So the output of that just runs through into this little pulse extender right here, which then runs through into our pistons. So when you throw the items in, those pistons will extend for a certain length of time, giving you the opportunity to actually crawl through the painting and get access to your little armory that you have inside the wall here. It's pretty smart. Moving swiftly on to the 4th design of today's video. We are really flying through. And this might just be, I mean, it's difficult to choose a favorite. It might be up there just because you guys know I love things that are hidden away in the floor, okay, that are just completely undetectable. You have a flat floor and then suddenly it transformed into something useful, and that is definitely the case with this one. So the player walks onto a specific spot and then they place down a redstone torch to activate the redstone torch key, and they just drop through the floor and down into an armory. Now the cool thing about this is when they drop through the floor, a trapdoor then gets pushed across, forcing them into crawl mode, so then they can crawl through that armory, get access to all of the things that they need, and then when they want to get out, all they have to do is make use of that trapdoor to actually allow them to hop out, reactivate the system, everything will close back up, and the floor will remain completely flush. Yes, I think this might be my favorite, you know? Get out of the way, decoration. I want to see this thing in all its glory. I think the reason that I like this so much is because I've managed to make it really, really small. When I was first writing out the ideas for this video, I was worried this was going to be one of the larger ones, but after doing a lot of compacting, I managed to get it down to be in a 3x3 area, which I'm pretty impressed with. And the cool thing about this circuit is it does the same thing on the opening as it does on the closing, so it's the same sequence. So the trapdoor gets moved out of the way, the extender either spits out or retracts its block, and then the trapdoor then re-extends. So you can see all of that happening here. So all of that is controlled by the blue and the yellow circuits, but the pink circuit was an extra little bit of problem solving. You see, when I jumped out of the system, I would often leave the trapdoor like this, in this sort of formation, and that meant that if I actually activated the system, the trapdoor would come across like that, and I wouldn't be put into crawl mode. So that meant that I had to create this tiny little system here, which would just power the trapdoor when it got retracted, which would make sure that it would then reset to being a closed trapdoor when it actually got pushed back across, which would then force the player to go into crawl mode. It was quite an elegant little solution. Anyway, let's stop it with this redstone geekiness and move on to the final redstone contraption of today's video. So I guess the geekiness is going to continue, but that was like super geeky. Now this one is pretty cool because it relies on stairs. So one decoration that I've often seen in people's bases is they'll take things like redstone lamps or glowstone and they'll cover them up with trapdoors because, I mean, it looks natural, it looks nice. And on a staircase, it looks especially good. So I thought I would combine both of these things to create a hidden armory underneath the stairs, making use of the trapdoor on the redstone lamp to allow the player to be forced into crawl mode and be pushed underneath the staircase so they can gain access to all of the things in like a little cubby hole area, and then they can pop back out, reset the system, and just have a completely normal looking staircase. It's pretty cool. And it's actually another one that is pretty tiny. I mean, it's only 3 blocks wide, and look how close to the wall this thing is sitting. You're not going to need much space to build this one. And circuits-wise, it's as easy as anything. We've got 3 different circuits. Green one is the item filter. Pink one, which is all of this area here, is our T flip-flop, and the yellow one is the input into our trapdoor and also our piston. When we throw a specific item, this time is carrots, onto this stair right here, the output from the item filter will then run through into our T flip-flop, which will toggle our trapdoor either open or close, and also toggle our piston either extended or retracted. And you can see all of that happening here. So, I mean, it's as easy as that. We just throw it down, it will toggle the system, either the piston extends and the trapdoor opens, or the piston retracts and the trapdoor closes. So there we go, that is all of the armories that I have to show you for today's video. If you want to check them out in a little bit more detail, then I'll put world downloads down in the description. But I really do hope that you enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Yeah, there's no outro anymore, is there? So, I guess I could sing it. I guess,